we're not going to talk about this. And you're not going to talk about this with anybody else. A'rid an hadha is actually, the press release will have black marker. Okay? We're going to censor this event. There are not going to be any interviews. If anybody wants to talk to you about it, there's my instruction to you. A'rid an hadha. It's not just overlook her mistake, forgive her. It's not that. He's still concerned that if this happened, the word will get out and people will want to talk to who? To Yusuf. And Yusuf alayhi salam is not going to, he already said it openly, راودتني عن نفسي, she's the one that seduced me. He said it, right? So if people come to him and they're trying to incriminate him, he's going to defend himself, and he basically gave him the instruction, you're going to be quiet about this. Ignore it. Ignore it meaning don't make a big deal out of it, forgive her, etc. But it also means, look, I need you understand that this can't get out, right? You understand, right? And so he's silenced Yusuf alayhi salam. So yes, his innocence has been proven. But his innocence has been proven inside closed quarters. Yeah? So if you could say this was a trial and there was a verdict, it was all a secret trial and a secret verdict. And the truth of it is not known to anybody outside the house. And obviously, if Yusuf is being told, don't talk about it, the servants have been given similar instruction. Nobody talk about this. This is, whatever's being shared here, stays here. Okay? Now, what's the problem with that? The problem with that, this kind of cover-up situation is, it's going to leak anyway. It's going to leak anyway. But when it leaks, what was the reason for the cover-up? The reason for the cover-up was to protect the politician's reputation, right? So when this gets out, then there's a second round of damage control. The second round of damage control is, how do I get this rumor to never become fact? I need to annihilate the source that might be the one place where this rumor will turn into fact will be Yusuf. Right? So what did they do later on? They're going to throw him in jail. Why are they going to throw him in jail? He didn't do anything wrong. And the minister knows he didn't do anything wrong. So the classical picture that's been painted of the minister as a nice guy who wanted to give him good housing, that's really great housing. You don't think Yusuf alayhi salam told him that he comes from a certain land and his father is Yaqub and Yaqub taught him about this deen and he'd like to go back to his dad? But he says, no, give him good housing. No, you're here now. Really kind. You know, it's not that kind. He saw his benefit over this child's well-being. That's what he saw. And later on, people are surprised that he did this. Like he had Yusuf alayhi salam thrown in jail, even though that's not our ayah today. But don't be surprised. His end game is to save his political career. And to do that, you need to silence the one source, one leak that's going to make this scandal a reality. And then people are going to say things, oh, you can't even control your, you can't control your house. You're going to control the finance, governance of finance. You're going to be head of security. You can't even secure your own house. We should trust you and the people that work under you. You can't even trust your right-hand man. People are going to say all kinds of things about him. Or you can't even control your wife. How are you going to control this or that or the other? He's going to tank. This is not just about her now. So he says, Yusuf a'rid an hada. And you notice, first he turned to the wife. As soon as he said, you created such a problem for me, he sees the biggest threat right now is who? Yusuf. So he stopped talking to the wife, turned to Yusuf, and Yusuf, ignore this. And then he comes back to the wife again. Because the logical thing would be, if you're talking to the wife, finish talking to the wife, then talk to Yusuf, yeah? But first he says, you're scheming. Yusuf, not going to talk about this. And you, wastaghfiri li dhanbiki, ask forgiveness for the sin you've done. Apologize for the sin you've done. Seek forgiveness. Now this became a sort of source of debate. Did they believe in Allah? Did they believe in God? Because istighfar means what? Seeking forgiveness of Allah, but there's no mention of Allah here. Then others said, no, they worshipped idols, but they had Allah, the concept of Allah too. Clearly they've heard the word Allah before because ma'ad Allah is already there and that went past her ears. So that's already there. But istighfar can simply just mean seek forgiveness. Seek forgiveness for the sin you've done. In his mind now, this also interesting, dhanb means something embarrassing that you do. Dhanb is an embarrassing thing that you do. And these are lighter sins, dhunub. This is again him downplaying what's just happened. And what's happened? No self-respecting husband that actually has a real relationship with his wife would actually turn to the wife and say, just do istighfar, okay? Just go think about what you did. And matter solved. What? This is the end of the marriage. Under normal circumstances, this would be the end of the marriage. But it's not. He's just saying, go apologize. So the question becomes, why is he telling her to seek forgiveness for your sin? He's actually pacifying Yusuf. Meaning, Yusuf, you ignore this. Look, I'll show you justice. You, apologize for what you did. Wait for your sin. See, I yelled at her. So I'm being fair. So don't worry about getting justice. I already gave justice to her. So he's kind of mellowing him because he should he want to speak up, that will quell it. The other is to everybody else, look, this is nothing more than a small mistake, and you should apologize for it. وَاسْتَغْفِرِي لِذَنْبِكِ إِنَّكِ كُنْتِ مِنَ الْخَاطِئِينَ. You've been from those that keep on making mistakes. Kana can mean the distant past, so it can mean you've been from those that make mistakes. And khata'a in Arabic actually is not a mistake. Khata'a, that's akhta'a really. That's ta'ammudan. Khata'a or khati'a is actually to make a mistake on purpose, to do something wrong on purpose. You keep doing these kinds of wrong things on purpose. You're from the kind of people, you're the kind that does this. And min al-khati'in, from those who make mistakes, is interesting because it's the masculine plural. So he's now gone beyond just you've made a mistake. No, you're from the kind of people that keep on making mistakes. So you go just apologize for this. You're always making some mistake or the other. That's just how you are. You're just that kind of person. And he's including men and women in that, again generalizing. So the blame doesn't fall specifically on her, and it doesn't become a serious problem for her. So with painting this kind of picture, what does it do? What is the guidance that we get from these couple of ayat, where he is supposed to be responding, and he first says, هَذَا مِنْ كَيْدِكُنَّ إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. First, in the study of Quran, one of the lessons that we have to draw from this is, when we are going to make a universal statement on behalf of the Quran, like somebody says, Quran says women's scheming is great and he's even greater than the devil. Hold on, there's a context here. And the context is completely different from what you're saying. Who's saying it? Who are they saying it to? When are they saying it? In what context is it being said? What's the audience at play? If you don't analyze that, can your conclusions be really problematic to the point where somebody's having some marital dispute and they say, this is just like Allah told us. إِنَّهُ مِنْ كَيْدِكُنَّ إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. You women and your scheming is great. See, Allah said it. Man, Shaitan will want your autograph. So so long as you're making your scheme, Shaitan's on vacation. You make a job easy. People will use Allah's word to slap people, to abuse people. And if Qaid is so terrible, well, if her Qaid is so terrible because she tore his shirt, well, the surah began with the brothers of Yusuf, فَيَكِيدُوا لَكَ كَيْدًا, same word. They will make a scheme against you, and their scheme involved taking his shirt off and throwing him in a well. That was a pretty great scheme too. That's what got this whole thing started. So before we even get to her Qaid, there's already a Qaid before. Right? So there, to limit this or to try to use this to make sweeping statements about all women, I believe is incorrect. Or I'm not, if somebody wants to do that, Allahu Alam, they think they have compelling evidence, I just haven't seen it. I don't see it, especially not in light of this ayah. What we should do in this, understanding the lessons from the story, is really analyze every character and what role they're playing with the clues that Allah has given us. With the position that Allah has given us. His motivations for saying this are clearly political to me. There's no other way to look at them. Any other way of looking at them is, you could say there's an opinion that it's this way or this way, but if you put yourself in that position and you're in that hallway, you're among the servants, and you're seeing this happening, as you walk away, you're going to say, he's a really gracious person. No, you're going to say, he's a good politician. Wow, he's good. Look at how he squashed that entire thing. Man, if I found out that happened in my family, there would have been a murder case. There would have been this or that. That's what people are talking in the kitchen. Those are the conversations that are happening. They're not saying, but this shows that he is really quite generous with, or he has made a wise statement about all women. No, he hasn't. That's just not the case, So هذا من إنه من كيدكن. Certainly it is from the kind of scheming you women do. إن كيدكن عظيم. Your scheming is great. And by the way, that also means that this is not the only kind of scheme. There are lots of different kinds of schemes. So just like her scheme is about to get him in trouble, and it's pretty powerful, she's got friends who she calls friends, but they're not really her friends. They're going to start a scheme of their own. They're going to start a scheme of their own. And by the way, up until now, her husband, we saw the word Sayyidaha, the man of the house, her leader, if you will, her husband. We saw Alladhi ishtarahu min Misra, the one who bought him from Egypt. That's the word that was used for him. And, Innahu Rabbi ahsana mathwaya, if you want to interpret it that way, master, that's another word that's been used for him. But the actual word minister, Al-Aziz, hasn't been used yet. He hasn't been described as the minister yet. And the first time we're going to see the word minister is actually going to be tomorrow when we study the 30th ayah, when women use that word. Not the wife, not Yusuf, not Allah Azza wa Jal. From his perspective, Allah will describe the women of the city talking about the wife of the minister. And that's going to have a strategic role. Why is he being introduced as the minister at that point in the story? And what does that have to do? And what scheming are they going to do? And Allah will describe their words as a scheme too, actually. So there's, we're learning, some dimensions of psychology, some dimensions of, family dynamics, things like jealousy, things like infidelity, things like emotional fulfillment, things like the scheming of the devil. We're also learning things like sociology, different levels of society, right? And how different levels of people operate. We're learning some things about politics. And these people, people in politics, they may be powerful in some ways, right? They may have wealth. They may have influence. They may have the ability to make policy. They may have the ability to get somebody thrown in jail and throw away the key and never give them a trial. That's going to happen, right? So they can have these kinds of powers. But one place that's their weakness? Reputation. The weak link for them is if somebody finds out the truth of what I really am. That if somebody finds out what really goes on behind closed doors, then everything I've built is going to fall apart. In election campaigns, when you're going after a certain candidate, you don't go after his policies. You don't go after what he stands for. What's the most effective way to go after a politician? Their personal life. A scandal involving them. Something, some kind of character assassination. That's the way to go. That means they're done for good. You got them good. If you can question their integrity, well, then they have no business serving the public. That's just how politics works. And then other politicians, this is the fun part, other politicians, even if they know that the scandal is false, they can't touch him. Because they'll say, look, if they see me shaking your hand, they're going to say, I endorse all the things you're being accused of. So I need to keep away from you because you've just become toxic because of the press. You understand? So that's why a person's political career just comes to an end because of such a thing. A public career just comes to an end. And then people who even know the truth, inside this close circle, do people know the truth? Yeah, they know the truth. But once Yusuf alayhi salam is going to get framed and thrown into jail, then nobody's going to go near him because going near him would mean political suicide. You understand? So there's larger games that play. Yeah, I like you, Yusuf, but I don't like you more than myself. I don't like you more than my politics or my career or the governor's mansion. I don't like you more than that. So that's where the line is going to get drawn. And we're going to see from the other side, because reputation is the sort of the weak link